Hello, grade 10. So, continuing with the absolute value equations, today we're going to have something different, which is slightly different, which is just graphing the absolute value functions. Okay, we already talked about the meaning of a function, the meaning of absolute value, and the part of graphing is what we're going to talk more about today. To graph an absolute value function, first let's start with the basic function, which is called the parent function, just like what we called in when we took the quadratic equation. So do you remember when we had the quadratic equations and then we learned how to transform, or what type of transformations that can happen on quadratic equation? We said a quadratic equation, a curve, can be shifted up, down, left or right based on a certain numbers written, and we called these parameters h and k, and this is exactly what we're going to do with the absolute value equations as well. They work exactly the same, just there is just like very small differences. I don't think you will find this hard because we already been through this with the quadratic equations. Now the parent function, which is for f of x, f of x is equal to the absolute value of x. Okay, which means if we made a table and every time we put a value of x starting from 0, 1, 2, 3, -1, -2, -3, we will get exactly a line right here, and this line will make about 45 degrees to the right and 45 degrees to the left, so it makes a perfect V letter. Okay, that's f of x, the original form, which is f of x equals the absolute value of x. There's no number with the x, there's no number in addition to the absolute value. Okay, now let's say, now what's the vertex here? The vertex here is 0, 0 for f of x. Let's say that we want to change the vertex into h and k. Let's call our new vertex, let's call it vertex h and k, just like what we did in the quadratic equations before. So we're going to call our new function g of x instead of f of x. So g of x is equal to the absolute value of x minus h plus k. Now this should remind you of something, which is x minus h squared plus k. Do you remember that? Which is the quadratic equation transformation. Now in the quadratic equation we said h is the number that shows you the shifts on the x-axis. Okay, so h represents the x-axis. We're going to repeat this exactly the same here on the y-axis. So basically, do you see this V letter? It's going to move up or down based on K, and it will move right or left based on H. And the signs in here, the negative sign here for H shows you that, so X minus H, H here shows how many steps this vertex is moving to the right, and if it was plus, it's going to be vice versa, so it's going to be to the left. For K, the plus shows you how many steps it moves up, the negative shows you how many steps it moves down. So this is positive because it was originally negative, because this is f of x.